Hey guys, my name is Keely and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to do kind of an old school video where I am recording in my car. There's just too much noise at the place that I live at. Also, I watched two 10,000 calorie in a day challenges and I got super hungry, so I wanted to leave my house anyways and get something to eat, which I did. Shouts out to Panera. What up, girl? I have really been noticing quite a bit that a lot of people are really being gravitated towards Kundalini, the energy of awakening, that kind of serpenty energy. Even if you're not familiar with Kundalini and what it is, you may be familiar with its signs or symbology. Kundalini is represented by the symbol caduceus. People are very familiar with the symbol because it is used a lot in the health and the medical field. This is kind of just a symbology, a symbolism for a really transformational type of energy that we're working with, a completely healing, a completely balanced type of energy that a lot of spiritualists and a lot of people work towards, whether they know consciously or not. You've got this chi at the base of your spine, and when you start to tune into those chakras and tune into the techniques that help you rise up this Kundalini energy, you start to access and activate this life force energy, which is the Kundalini energy, and it rises and hits each one of the chakras. The more balanced you are and the more practicing you are in the male and female balance, and that can get activated by spiraling motions. There are actual forms of yoga that center around, like Kundalini yoga, that center around activating the spiraling motion. Kundalini is essentially the balance of the physical world and the etheric world, and this is used a lot in grounding processes and very ancient tribal processes, because the ancients knew that by using the earth and using the energies of the beings and the creatures that are really low to the ground, and the process of being physical can really transform into the opposite world of that, which is the etheric. And for those that are very centered in being up here in the higher chakras, Kundalini is a process of grounding, so you have a perfect balance between both worlds. Also remember that this is also a male-female perfect balance as well, and the balance of the chakras. So this is not an easy one-day process. This is a gradual process. Every single day you're going to work at it. Every single day you're going to be at a different place, and that's perfectly fine. It's about being in the balance that you're in at that moment. So if one day you're not feeling it and the next day you are, and then the next day after that you're not, it's okay. It's just about knowing where you are here. So there's no finish line for this. There's no ending point. It's just about where you are today and how you can become aware of your body and what you need to maybe balance out. Maybe it's the yin energy. Maybe it's the yang energy. Maybe it's connecting to your etheric self a little bit more. Maybe it's being aware of your surroundings. It's just about where you are at this moment. Even in the world of younger, more mainstream kind of spirituality, I've noticed that Kundalini, and the words Kundalini awakening or anything along those lines, is kind of a finishing point. Like it's a marker of accomplishment rather than a process. Because spirituality and the practices of it have become far more mainstream, I wanted to cover something that I think is very important. As far as I've seen in the mainstream spiritual world, at least for younger people, the idea of a Kundalini awakening is very popular and very hip. I don't know if that's what the kids are saying, but it is very kind of an ideal situation in transformation, and an ideal situation in what people want to experience, because in the practices of Kundalini you are activating all of these chakras and things are really shifting in your body, your mind, your spirit. Once you kind of activate that third eye and crown area once that Kundalini energy has risen through your spine and really done its thing. A lot of things can happen in that awakening process. I know a lot of spiritual people that really, really want to achieve that Kundalini awakening that a lot of people talk about, where they go into an altered state of consciousness for a period of time and things start shifting and their body starts vibrating. If they're not prepared for it, can be very traumatic or can take a lot of time or resetting of mindsets and things where most of us, if we haven't been trained in spiritual, hardcore, disciplinary practices, can be very, very difficult to understand, perceive. So the gradual process is far, far, far more common. That stereotypical Kundalini awakening that you may have heard of that usually lasts within a day or a couple of hours typically is a result of very, very disciplined or very, very extreme types of spiritual practice. So whether it is some kind of plant medicine, some kind of shamanic work, some kind of really, really deep meditation, I do not recommend going under any of these things without the supervision of someone that can be there with you, someone that knows spiritually what they're doing. I do not recommend going into any plant medicine or any animal medicine that you are not familiar with or have practiced under the supervision of someone else, because you need someone there if something happens. Be aware of what your body and your mind and your spirit is telling you. And if you're really, really doing something to result in Kundalini awakening for the highest and greatest good, then that's fine. But if you're trying to do it for a story or out of recreational purposes, I do not condone it. And if you come into any kind of practice spiritually with that mindset, you are going to reap the energy that you've put into it. So I'm going to give you 10 signs and symbols that indicate that you are going through your own Kundalini awakening process yourself. Creativity. Now, I talk about this in almost all of my videos, and I think it is one of the most crucial things that in the Kundalini process that we tune into as humans. You think of God energy, when we connect to the creator sense in ourselves, we are able to connect to any realm of existence that we want, because we are physically creating our manifestation. So if you notice an increase of creativity in your practices, in your interests, in just things that you are, just ideas that are coming to you, that could be a sign of your Kundalini awakening. A lot of people tune into the Kundalini energy without knowing by spiraling. Now, this sounds really, really strange to someone that may not know about Kundalini energy or the practice of it or how people tune into it, but a lot of people, when they're just static standing or anything along those lines where you kind of have a minute to just chill out, people will spiral, and people will spiral just like out of fun, or if you think about ancient tribal dance, so a lot of belly dancing or literally just dancing in general, even Western dancing, there's a lot of spiraling involved in that. And so Kundalini energy is very, very sexual. So if you think about any kind of like dancing where you're spiraling around, you're connecting that sexual primal Kundalini energy. So if you find yourself doing that, there you go. You crave different kinds of foods and different quantities of food. Now, day by day, everything changes. So one day you could not be hungry at all. The next day you could be very hungry and like savagely hungry. The next day you could be craving amazing, wonderful, great foods. Or the next day you could be craving lots of sweets. Or, you know, there's a huge dietary shifting day to day that could happen. Or throughout the process, you're craving just different kinds of foods. Pay attention to that and what it's telling you and how you act on that and honor your body, because that is very strongly a Kundalini sign and symptom. Vivid dreaming and intense meditations, and this speaks for itself because we're connecting all the way up to that etheric body. And so when you get higher and higher to that really, really etheric place, that highest crown chakra place, you're really going to experience a lot of spiritual things. You're going to experience a lot of stereotypical, waking up with dreams that you should probably be writing down. You're meditating and you're seeing and feeling and experiencing more, and that's just part of the spiritual practice, so pay attention to that. You start to connect on a conscious level to what a lot of people connect to in their meditation mode. A lot of times in meditation, we like to sit and almost observe what is our thoughts or our ego thoughts, what is us just kind of messing with ourselves, or what is a genuine, more divine type of thought process. And if you're connecting to that Kundalini energy, a lot of times you are able to decipher what is and what isn't the ego, and what is and what isn't right for you right in the physical moment. You really want an actual relationship with the earth, not some kind of pseudo-humanitarian thing going on. You may have a general interest in if your plants that you are consuming and that you're taking on the energy of are GMO based, are organic, are treated with herbicides and pesticides. You want a real relationship with the food that you're eating. You want a real relationship with planting, maybe, or making your own food. I've seen this as a huge popularity rising thing, and that is definitely a Kundalini symptom of really, really connecting or appreciating what you're eating. Even people that eat meat, I don't eat meat personally, but a lot of people eat meat, and they are starting to realize that their food comes from somewhere, want to know how their meat is being taken care of, want to know what their meat is being fed, what the animals they're eating are being fed. Another sign of the Kundalini process is confronting and being willing to accept your own darkness, your own past, the things about you that make you feel embarrassed or sad or scared or feel ashamed about, or looking into things that may have been suppressed in your childhood. You are going to be transformed. That's what the snake is about. You're being transformed into a new version of yourself. And for you to be transformed into that new version, you have to remove the energy of the old stuff. So the old stuff is going to come up, and you're going to start looking into the old stuff, old patterns, relationship patterns, eating patterns, habits, belief systems, and that stuff is going to rise to the top. So if you're even feeling interest in solving those issues, looking into those issues, why do I act like this? Why do I do this? Where is this belief system coming from? What am I surrounding myself with? That's a good sign that your Kundalini energy is being moving around and shifting in order to transform into its better version. The desire to not control and puppeteer the things in your life, but the acknowledgement and the conscious awareness to know which disciplines work for you, and knowing that other people may not necessarily work under the same circumstances. And because specifically Kundalini energy is centered and works and manifests itself in the spine, we feel a lot of changes in the spine. So the same thing with the spiraling. You may feel like electric pulses or electric hits in your spine or in your back or in your legs even. You may feel temperature differences, so heating up if that energy is revving up or doing something or changing, or think about the fire energy, so it's transforming energy. That energy may heat up in your back or your spine or your legs. Just pay attention to that. And lastly, and the most interesting, I think, is that because Kundalini is very, very raw and centers around the creative sexual energy, you may change sexually. The process of Kundalini is centered around creativity and very, very physical actions. So you can always increase your Kundalini energy by going through any kind of yoga or tribal dance or working out or anything along the physical body lines. So with that and with the creative power comes a very, very strong sexual drive. Your sexual arousal points may change. If you think about men that are connecting to the Kundalini energy while they're working out, or lifting weights or something, and they are grunting, or people that are playing tennis and they're hitting and they're making almost suggestive sounds, they're connecting to that Kundalini energy. So with that, you may feel that sexual energy in your working out. It's not like the energies are separate from one another. Sometimes while you're working out, you may feel a very strong sexual urge. You may feel a very strong connection to that energy, and just be attentive and just know if that comes around, it's not strange, it's not weird. It's just part of that energy, and feel empowered and honored by that, because that is your Kundalini energy working. Also, if you're feeling uncomfortable about that, find a way to channel that sexual energy, that sacral chakra power energy, into something creative rather than something destructive. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end. I really do appreciate it. This video in no way is the 10 end all be all Kundalini symptoms and signs. It's just 10 things I've observed within other people and myself. So maybe I'll do a part 2, part 3, part 10 of this. Let me know. Also, if you guys have your own specific habitual things that you do when you're tuning into the Kundalini process, let me know in the comments. I love you guys so much. I will see you later. Bye.